Hi everyone, it's Jakey again, and this is my video on breaking the attack speed cap in Final Fantasy XI using 100 Fists. And yes, this works even now in 2020. For those who are unaware, there is generally an 80% attack speed cap. That means you can't reduce your delay by more than 80%. For more general knowledge on how attack speed works, check out my last video, which I have linked. Without this cap, your attack speed theoretically could go towards infinity, as your delay between attacks goes to 0, or presumably hits a cap at some point. Or maybe you even just crash when you hit 0 delay. We don't know, because we've never gotten there. As you can see from this graph, exponential growth is no joke. If it's possible to go above 80%, which already makes you swing 5 times faster than normal, then it continues to improve, well, exponentially, quickly getting to 20 to 30 times your normal attack speed. Over a decade ago, it was possible to get attack speed on Dark Knight up into the 90s and do some amazing things, which is what led to the 80% cap being implemented. I found there is a way around the cap, and yes, you can exploit it for insane attack speeds. Although I have yet to find a way for this to be useful damage, but don't worry, you still get what you came for, me swinging insanely fast with the Kraken Club. So here I am with an assumed 97.75% delay reduction using a Kraken Club. Oh, this is the most ridiculous thing I've heard. Okay, for those who just came for that video, here's your reminder to like and subscribe. Now let's talk about what's going on here and how I found this. As I explained in my last video, attack delay is generally just your modified delay times 1 minus haste, with a caveat that it must be greater than 20% of your base delay. 100 Fists, according to BG, lowers delay post martial arts by 75% and can bypass the cap. So that means under 100 Fists, it would look something like what you see on the screen here. Attack delay equals 480 plus weapon delay minus martial arts, all times 1 minus 0.75. Normally, that's not too exploitable. There's only so much martial arts you can stack, and haste seems to have left the formula. This pretty much fits my experiences with 100 Fists in the past, where it only seems to be good when you're slowed or lacking haste, and generally does very little when you're under full buffs. Then I thought, well, this first part of the term looks an awful lot just like the normal modified delay formula for hand-to-hand weapons. What if it's more generally just attack delay equals modified delay times 1 minus 0.75? But if it's just using modified delay, and if it works for dual wield, then it could potentially be very exploitable because dual wield can be stacked to much higher percentages. Here are the comparative formulas for hand-to-hand and dual wield delay. I found in my testing reason to believe that dual wield just keeps stacking even beyond 80%, as it continues to lower TP per hit of high delay weapons, even at over 90% dual wield, up until you hit the 40 TP per hit minimum. In addition, the ambuscade katana continues to gain regain all the way to 100 dual wield where it hits a cap. So the first thing I confirmed was that 100 fists did not affect TP per hit. This means that it's not changing the modified delay, and was enough evidence for me to consider building a dual wield set for Monk. Building a dual wield set for Monk was very painful. I had to trade in my Adeline ring, augment a set of Herc gear with Fernstones, and make an ambuscade cape for dual wield on Monk. But it's for science, so it had to be done. As far as I can tell, Monk can only get to 93% dual wield outside of Abyssia, and I was able to get to 91% this weekend for these tests. They're also very limited to only a handful of clubs, so I went with blurred rods. Now, I imagine someone will think of some piece of dual wield gear I wasn't able to think of, and maybe we can push this further, but for now this was enough to do tests. I needed to see if in fact I go over the attack speed cap with 100 fists using dual wield. So here I am with 91% dual wield and a 4 roll on Blitzer's roll. So this should be about 98% delay reduction. And at this speed, I really couldn't say if my speed is exactly 98% or not. All I can tell you is it's definitely a lot faster than the 80% cap, which is what I'm swinging at before 100 fists and after 100 fists. Next I thought, well, maybe dual wield is capped at 80% for the purpose of attack speed. So let's see what an 80% dual wield looks like. It should correspond to a little less than half the amount of attacks over time as the 91% dual wield set I just showed. So if we compare them side by side, it should be noticeably slower, even if it's hard to tell because they're just swinging too darn fast. Okay, so I can't get to 100 dual wield on Monk, but Monk isn't the only job that has access to 100 fists. Thief can steal 100 fists using larceny, so I thought, well, I'll just make a 100 dual wield set for Thief and try larcening 100 fists. Unfortunately, this did not work out, as it seemed to not increase my attack speed at all, which makes me think that larceny 100 fists is either different than the Monk's 100 fists, or maybe it even varies mob to mob, so maybe if I try it on more mobs, I'll find one that it does actually work with. But it didn't work here. So if we're not able to find a new Zerg technique using this, is there any other way we could use all that we've learned here? And one thing that's very clear is that Monk should try to use lower delay weapons during 100 fists, such as the Empyrean hand-to-hand, and stack as much martial arts as they can, because that's how you're going to get the most benefit out of 100 fists. Also, use it when you're slowed or weakened, or you just don't have haste. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I hope you learned a lot. Please remember to like and subscribe.